Hey, welcome! Today we're diving into what might be one of the most powerful skills you can possibly develop, mastering your own emotional reactions. We're going to look at the science, the philosophy, and some really practical steps to help you take back control when your feelings feel like they're about to run the show. Okay, let's get into it.
We've all been there, right? That flash of anger or maybe frustration where the words just erupt. And then, like a second later, that sinking feeling hits, and you're just wishing you could rewind time and pull those words right back out of the air. It's a totally universal human experience.
And here's the good news. It is not a character flaw. It doesn't mean you're a hothead. This is pure biology. It's a survival mechanism that's been hardwired into us for thousands and thousands of years. But, what was super useful when you were facing a saber-toothed tiger isn't always so helpful when you're stuck in traffic or in a tense meeting. And this reaction actually has a name.
It's called an amygdala hijack. Think of your amygdala as your brain's little alarm system. When it senses a threat, and this is key, whether it's real or just imagined, it can literally hijack control from the more rational, thinking parts of your brain. In that split second, you're not thinking, you are just reacting. And that's where all the trouble starts. So what if we could stop the hijack before it even takes off?
Well, the solution is actually breathtakingly simple, but it's also incredibly profound. It all comes down to creating just a little bit of space, a moment to breathe, a pause.
Now, just think about who's saying this. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. He understood extreme circumstances in a way most of us can't even begin to imagine. And he's telling us that no matter what happens to us, that's the stimulus, there's a moment, a tiny little gap. And everything, our freedom, our growth, our happiness, it all depends on how we use that little space in time.
So how do we actually use that space? Well, brother David Steindl-Rast gave us this brilliant, super practical framework. Just stop, look, go. When you feel that hijack starting, the very first step is just to stop. Do nothing, just pause. This gives your rational brain a second to catch up. Then look, what is really going on here? What's the other person's point of view? What's the outcome you really want? And finally, go. Act from that place of awareness, not from that raw, knee-jerk emotion.
This idea of finding a space for a rational choice, it's not new, not by a long shot. In fact, it's an ancient art, and it was perfected thousands of years ago by the Stoic philosophers. They basically created the original blueprint for this exact kind of emotional mastery.
Okay, let's clear up a huge misconception right now. The modern word stoic kind of makes us think of someone who's totally emotionless, with a stiff upper lip. But that is not what the philosophy of Stoicism is about at all. They weren't trying to get rid of their feelings. They were trying to understand where their feelings came from so they wouldn't be ruled by them.
See, the Stoics saw emotion as a three-stage process. First, you have the first movement. That's the initial shock, the jolt of adrenaline, that flush of heat in your face. You can't control this, it just happens. But then comes stage 2, judgment. And this is the Stoic version of Frankl's space. It's the moment you decide what that first jolt means. Is this insult truly a devastating attack, or is it just some clumsy words from a person who's having a bad day? Your judgment determines the final outcome, either a destructive emotion like rage or a calm, rational response. The key here is that you have a choice.
And this just lays out the difference so clearly. On the left, you've got Stoic reframing. This is an active, conscious process. You're engaging with the feeling, you're looking at it, and you're using reason to put it in perspective. On the right, you've got emotional suppression. Just trying to bottle it up, ignore it, push it down, and we all know how well that works, right? Sooner or later, that bottle is going to explode. The Stoics were all about reframing, not suppressing.
So the ancient philosophers pretty much had this figured out. But what does modern science have to say about it? Well, it turns out they were onto something huge, and we can now literally see it happening inside our brains. What the Stoics called judgment, modern psychology calls cognitive reappraisal. It's the exact same idea, changing the story you tell yourself about what's happening in order to change how you feel about it. And it's one of the most studied and most effective emotional regulation techniques we know of.
But the real question is, right, can we actually prove that doing this stuff works? That being mindful and reappraising our thoughts is actually better than just stuffing them down? The answer is a huge, resounding yes.
Okay, check this out. A major meta-analysis from 2023 looked at 36 different studies. On this chart, you see 2 bars. The one on the left shows the connection between mindfulness and healthy cognitive reappraisal. And you can see It's a clear, positive link. The more mindful people are, the better they are at reframing. Now look at the bar for expressive suppression, bottling things up. The link to mindfulness, it's basically zero. This is massive scientific proof that practicing awareness helps you manage your emotions in a healthy way, not by burying them. So how does this work on a biological level? Well, a key player here is your vagus nerve. The easiest way to think about it is as the brake pedal for your body's stress response. When you take a deep breath, when you intentionally pause, you activate this nerve, and it sends a signal to your body to chill out, slowing your heart rate and pulling you out of that fight or flight panic. It literally creates the biological space for your rational brain to get back in the driver's seat. Okay, so we've covered the problem, the philosophy, and the science. Now let's get to the most important part. How do you actually do this in your everyday life? Let's build your toolkit. First things first. This is a skill you can learn. Nobody is born a master of their emotions. It's just like a muscle. The more you practice pausing and reframing your thoughts, the stronger that muscle gets and the more automatic it becomes. You can literally start training it today. Here are just a few simple habits that make a massive difference. Journaling helps you see your thought patterns out on paper. Asking yourself why over and over, like a little kid, can get you to the real root of a feeling. Box breathing is a fantastic way to hit that biological brake pedal we just talked about. And just learning to say, hey, can I have a second to think about that, is such a powerful way to create that space in a real-life conversation.
Let's look at a really clear example of this in action. On the left, you've got a catastrophic thought. The mind just spirals from one single setback to total life failure. On the right is the reappraised thought. It doesn't deny the challenge. The test is hard, but it reframes it. It puts it into perspective. This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing a more rational and productive way to see the reality of the situation.
And I mean that. The ability to stop that chain reaction between a feeling and a destructive action, it's a genuine superpower. It can save relationships, it can save careers, and it can save you a whole lot of personal grief. It's the key to responding to life with wisdom instead of just reacting to it.
So, we end right where we began. That space that Viktor Frankl talked about, it's always available to you. In every moment of frustration, every surge of anger, every wave of fear, it's there. The only question left is, how will you choose to use it? Thanks for tuning in.